George Knapp has just released a batch of secretive Soviet UFO documents he obtained in the 1990s. He recently testified to Congress, handed over the files, but the documents were never released publicly, so now Knapp has released them himself. Inside are Russian military eyewitness accounts from October 1982, officers and personnel describing strange lights in the sky, formations that shift shape, and objects that blink out and reappear. We translated the documents into English, and in this video we're going to tell the story through the reports themselves. On the 4th of October 1982, at 19:30, returning from service to home, I observed unknown phenomena in the atmosphere at the altitude about 5 to 6 kilometers above the village Usovo. After that, I stopped on the crossroads of roads to the village Usovo, at the side of the road, at the distance 5 to 6 kilometers, and I saw two brightly shining objects, by form resembling long garlands. They were shining with bright golden light, and these lights were flickering. In each object there were 6 to 8 brightly shining points, which were arranged in the form of a ring. The distance between them was about 2 to 3 kilometers. Then, from this object separated a luminous ball, of the same size as the shining lights, and rapidly moved toward the second object. When approaching it, it went out. After this, the left object moved in the direction of the settlement Sverdlin and disappeared from view, and the right object began to move toward my side. It moved slowly, and during about 15 seconds, it stopped. During the movement of the second object, which we observed, a change occurred from elliptical to a straight line. This phenomenon continued 5 to 7 minutes, then I got into the car and drove away. During the movement, the luminous object was visible between the trunks of trees. Having driven about 3 kilometers on the right from the road in a gap of trees, I again saw a luminous object, but now it was in the form of an ellipse, and the lights were arranged inside it in the form of an ellipse. Then these lights moved into a line, that is, the object changed the angle of inclination, and slowly went out, as if dissolving. When approaching the railway cut before the village Topilnya, already in the evening sky, there appeared a brightly shining object, by form resembling an ellipse stretched like a lens. The lights flickered and shimmered. The glow was bright golden. The object was at the distance about 5 kilometers to the right from the road, in the direction to the village Usovo. The second time I observed this phenomenon on the 4th of October 1982 at 20:40, in the area of the railway crossing between the village Topilnya and the settlement Yevdnevo, where I arrived with my wife, son and friends in my own car. Approaching the crossing, we got out of the car and began to observe the sky. We were about 100 meters before the crossing in the direction of the village Topilnya. Minutes after 2 to 3 after arrival, to the left of the road, approximately at 30 to 35 degrees, at the altitude 5 to 7 kilometers, flashed a bright light and went out. Then it flashed again, and after that, everything around became lighter, and 6 to 8 bright lights of bright golden color appeared, flickering in the form of an ellipse. From them separated a brightly shining ball and flew to the ground. When approaching it, went out. Minutes after 3 to 4, the flickering lights went out. Then this phenomenon repeated. That is, after 2 flashes, there flared up bright golden lights. After 2 to 3 minutes, the luminous object rapidly began moving in our direction, and with great speed increased in size. Then the object, just as unexpectedly, stopped. The distance to it was approximately 1 to 2 kilometers. At this, the children who were with us got very frightened that it would fall on us. After the stop, the light slowly went out, as if melted away. About 10 minutes later, at a great distance, again a garland blossomed and again went out. We got into the car and drove home. No luminous objects were visible anymore.
Explanatory note. I, Captain Feuleray, A.G., Velselia, being with my wife and children, and with the family of Captain Tomkalov, V.T., in the area of Topilnya from 2015 to 2110, observed an unidentified flying object, the first time in the form of a triangle, approximately of the following shape. Upper part of bright golden light with a reddish tint. Lower part of bright golden light. The second time between the village Ozerny and the railway. Appearance of an ellipse. The arrangement of the shining lights was as shown in the drawing. All lights shone with bright golden light. The glowing lasted from 20 seconds and more, and when they went out, descending downward, these lights would ignite in different places, however constantly from one plane. The only thing that changed was the distance to this object. The movement occurred arbitrarily in various directions, but with high speed. The closest distance to which this object approached was approximately up to 1.5 kilometers, at an altitude up to 1,000 meters. Judging by the arrangement of the lights, this body represents an elliptical body. To describe in more detail its shape I cannot, as it was already dark. This phenomenon, during movement, produced no sound effects.
I, Lieutenant Colonel Belenyov, N.A., hereby explain that on the 4th of October, 1982, returning from duty home by bus, together with other passengers, from 1920 to 1940, I observed a glow in the sky previously unknown to me. The glow was in the form of many flickering stars, from pale yellow to dark cherry color. 5 constellations stood out clearly. During the observation, some of them completely went out, and then the glow appeared again in the form of flickering, separate light sources of different intensity. The arrangement was approximately as shown in the diagram. I first noticed the glow while traveling on the road before the village Perebrody. In order to better observe what was glowing, we stopped the bus at the crossroads Perebrody, Usovo, Belokorovici. The glow was observed above the village Usovo, in the gap between the trees on both sides of the road. The azimuth and the height of the glow can be determined fairly accurately from the point of observation. The second observation of the same glow was conducted from the road in the area of Lake Korma. The glow was also above Usovo. Here, 4 bright flickering stars were observed. Initially, we assumed it was reflection of sunlight from the helicopter or a flock of birds, but at sunset, we began to doubt that it was reflection of sunlight. I, Private Bashkatos Andrei Vasilievich, on the 4th of October, 1982, departed in a UAZ 469 vehicle from the 2nd Division to Belokorovici. Before reaching the village Perebrody, I saw glowing lights in the sky. This was approximately at 19:30. The arrangement of the lights formed an indefinite shape. The number of lights was about 10. Since I was driving the vehicle, it was not possible to examine more precisely. After several minutes, we turned into the 1st Division. After that, I did not see the lights in the sky anymore. The glowing lights were located in the area of the village Usovo, the 5th of October, 1982. Bashkatos. Explanatory note: Captain Duman Anatoly Pavlovich, returning at 19:30 from service to home, heard an exclamation from the officers sitting in front. Captain Tumenez, Z1, Lieutenant Colonel Kuchin, and others. When the bus stopped at the bend of the road toward Natneve, we got out of the bus and saw to the side, approximately toward the village Usovo, a bright glow of shimmering points. These points constantly changed form, and it seemed that they were moving. When the bus continued movement, we sat on the last seat with Captain Shikozim, NN, and observed this phenomenon. After about 10 minutes, it went out, and it went out gradually, that is, as if one after another. And about another 10 minutes later, a new glow appeared, but already to the side from the first one, and moreover larger, and had the form of a circle tilted toward the ground. This flickering glow continued up to the village Topilnya, that is, there I saw it for the last time. Explanatory note: It Lieutenant Colonel Povar Venter P. on the 4th of October, 1982, approximately at 19:30, returning from service on bus 5432D. I along the road Ignakpol to Usovo saw burning lights in the sky, 4 to 5 pieces, of golden color. When the bus stopped, the lights did not move. When moving along the road near the Usovo-Belokorovici crossroads, the impression was such that the lights were moving together with us. At a repeated stop, the arrangement of the glowing lights changed, and for some time, approximately 10 to 20 seconds, the glow stopped, and then they lit up again. The form of the lights was similar to a helicopter by their arrangement. Lieutenant Colonel Zinkovsky Viktor Stefanovich, departing from Kos 30 at approximately 2020, was traveling along the road Korosten to Belokorovichi. After the railway crossing of the railway line Belokorovichi to Ovruch, when turning onto the bypass road, ahead at an angle to the horizon of approximately 20 to 30 degrees, I drew attention to a group of glowing points, if they can be called that, arranged as shown in the drawing, in the direction toward the military town, or slightly to the right, K20. While traveling to the military town, these glowing points stood in place or slowly moved to the left. When approaching the station Belokorovichi, the position of the points changed somewhat. I thought that probably a helicopter had arrived in the military town. When I arrived in the town, I got out of the car, looked at the place where earlier I had observed this object. There was already nothing there.
Explanatory note. I, Major Lipetsky B.S., hereby explain that on the 4th of October 1982, returning from service home in a car ZAZ 968M on the route village Perebrody to village Usovo, I drew attention to the fact that ahead and above, directly over the road, somewhere above Usovo, there was observed a glow of some object. The glow was from a group of glowing points, representing 5 groups. The altitude was about 20 meters above the edge of the distant forest. The color of the lights ranged from pale yellow to red. Time of detection, 1910 to 1915. When we stopped at the crossroads Usovo to Belokorovichi, the lights remained in place. We did not stand for long, approximately about 3 minutes. During the further trip, for Captain Ryabinin, the steering wheel began to tremble in his hands, and the front wheels of the automobile as if seized/jammed. Captain Ryabinin was not drunk. We checked the fastening of the wheel, steering rods. Everything was normal. I suggested to Captain Ryabinin to let me drive, since I have more driving experience, and for me, the same picture repeated after 100 meters, even though the road was smooth. After 50 meters of travel, it stopped by itself, and up to the settlement-type locality, Belokorovichi, we drove normally.
Explanatory report. I, Senior Lieutenant Koblyansky Vitaly Alexandrovich, Deputy Commander of the 4th Battery, Military Unit 32,156, regarding the observation of a UFO, can report the following. On the 4th of October 1982 at 19:30, I departed by automobile Izh from the city Zhytomyr in the direction to the city Korosten. After several minutes on a straight section of the road, I noticed a fairly bright single point, flickering at an angle of approximately 10 degrees to the horizon. The first impression, 2 shining headlights of a taking-off airplane flying straight away from the observer. The passenger, Major Drobakin, suggested that these were the signal lights of a relay transmitter in the town Chernyakov. However, after passing the relay tower, we still saw the lights in a direction approximately to the north, slightly rising above the horizon. Now 2 groups of lights were visible, unevenly flickering, of a reddish color. Approaching Korosten, it became visible the approximate arrangement of the lights in the form of an air kite, and the height visually began to change up to 20 degrees above the horizon to the left of Korosten. Then the lights disappeared from view, and until the moment of entering the village Belokorovichi, I did not see them. Again, I noticed them at about 2100, low above the horizon, approximately in the northwestern direction. In the military town, the lights were not visible, probably due to trees. Along the route, periodically there arose interference to radio reception on long wave and medium wave, similar to crossing near power transmission lines, that is, a sharp increase of noise, although power transmission lines were not present. Witnesses: Deputy Commander of the Division for Political Affairs, Major Drobakin, and Manager of the Soldiers' Tea Room/Canteen, Lorop N.I.
Explanatory note. I, Senior Assistant to the Head of Communications of Military Unit 52035 for Automated Control Systems and Computers, Katzman, Mikhail Davidovich, report that on October 4th, 1982, at 21:37, on the information panel of equipment 153343, there occurred a spontaneous lighting up of all indicator panels and digital indicators, as in the mode illumination of indicators at the first pressing. At the same time, on the tape of ARI, there was also spontaneously recorded information. 4 spaces. Control program at 21:38. CP with link I with the content TP report at 21:38. Test control of the equipment and measurement of parameters according to the technological cards T30 revealed no deviations. The equipment functions normally. I assume that the incident could have occurred due to the effect of a powerful impulse on the power supply system of the equipment, especially on the block KP263, U10, then on blocks VTG127, U5, U3, U2, and then on blocks U14, U12, and U11, which, in that period, bore the main part of the load for processing information in the equipment. There were no anomalies in the operation of other communication means at this communications center. There were also no anomalies in the operation of the automated control system equipment of links 5I and 6I. Previously, there were no such cases. I consider it necessary to note that, as operating experience shows, equipment 153343 is critical to supply voltage. In July of this year, during a thunderstorm, a 10-amp fuse blew out on the power panel 159948, bypassing all electrical assemblies at the communications node.
So the question isn't, do you believe in UFOs? It's, why are military personnel describing the same thing in the same place on the same night?